Hello, Math 130 students. We're going to pick up on page 15. I got split off from my last video, but that's okay. We can just call this Math 130 section 1.3 part B. So we're going to pick up on that page 15. So for example number 2, it says the angles in a triangle are such that one angle is 102 degrees more than the smallest angle, while a third angle is 4 times as large as the smallest angle. Find the measure of all the angles. So I know at the very least that the shape that I have is a triangle. So there's my triangle. I know that one angle is 102 more than the smallest one. So your point of reference here is going to be your smallest angle. So your smallest is your unknown. So let's say that's x. So we can say that x is going to represent the smallest angle. So there's x. So I know that one angle is 102 more than that. So 102 more than the smallest, well, that more than tells you to add. So you're adding 102 plus your unknown, which is your smallest. Now for the next one, it says the third angle is 4 times as large as the smallest. So again, that smallest is x, and it says 4 times that. So in this particular case, we are going to have that this is going to be 4x. So I know that whenever I have a triangle, I add all the sides, it's going to give me 180. So I have my smallest, which is the x. I'm going to add it to my other side, which is 102 plus x. And that last side, which is 4x. And all of this is equal to 180. So what I'm doing is I'm taking each angle and I'm going to add them all together to give you 180 degrees. And the reason that is, it was listed in the page before. The sum of measures of angles within triangles is 180 degrees. That means when you add all the angles together in a triangle, it should add up to 180. So that's the fact that I'm using here. So I'm going to go ahead and combine all of my x's together. So I have x, x, and 4x. So 4, 5, 6x. And then I still have plus 102 is equal to 180. So I'm going to subtract 102 from both sides. So I have 180 minus my 102, and I get 78. From here, I'm going to divide by 6 on both sides, so I get that x is going to equal to a positive 13. So I know that one angle, in particular it was the smallest, is equal to 13 degrees. I know that the second angle, the one that was 102 plus x, well, if I do 102 plus my x value, which is 13, I get 115. And then, of course, my third angle, that was the one that was 4 times x, and that x value is 13, so 4 times 13 is going to give me 52. And notice that when I add all of those together, 13 plus 115 plus 52, they all add up to 180 degrees, which is exactly what we wanted to happen. Okay. Now we're going to be dealing with a different shape. It says the length of a rectangle is 51 inches more than the width. The perimeter is 146 inches. Find the length and the width. So I want to think about the shape that I have here, and it says that my shape is going to be a rectangle. So if I have a rectangle, there is going to be my rectangle. And it specifically says that the length of this is 51 inches more than the width. So more than that is going to be your clue for your point of reference. It always comes behind it, and it's going to be your width. I don't know what the measurement of the width is, so I'm going to call that W. Okay? But I know that the length is going to be 51 more than that. So you are adding as well. So 51 plus W. And it talks about how much my perimeter is. So I have that my P is equal to 146. So the general equation that we have is that my perimeter is equal to 2L plus 2W. So now I get to plug in my values. The perimeter that I had was 146 is equal to 2 times my length, but my length I said was 51 plus W, plus 2 times my W, so I just leave that as a W. So I have 146 is equal to, and 2 times 51 is 102, plus 2W plus 2W. So when I combine the 2W plus the 2W, I get 4W. So then from here, I'm going to subtract 102 from both sides. So 146 minus 102, and that's going to give me 44. So if I divide both sides by a 4, I'm going to get that 11 is equal to W. So now I know that the W represents my width, and it's given to me in inches, so I have 11 inches. So now, when I want to talk about the length, well, I know that the length was really 51 plus W. So I'm going to have 51 plus my 11, which is going to give me 62. Now, for example number 4, it says the measure of an angle of the right triangle is 42 more than the measure of the smallest angle. Find the measures of all three angles. So again, we are going to have a triangle of some sort. So there is my triangle. It says that the measure of a, and it's a different type of angle, right? Triangle, a specific one that I didn't pay attention to. And that key word here was it's a right triangle. So if it's a right triangle, it's a certain amount, it's a certain shape. That shape is, it would be a 90-degree angle. So that represents a right triangle. Okay, it's a 90 degree. That's what that little square represents. So I know that this is going to be 90 degrees. So one of the measures, so there's only two more angles that I don't know the values of. So one of them is 42 more the measure of the smallest angle. So again, the smallest angle, I don't know what that is, so let's call that X. So if that's going to be X, then the other one is 42 more than that. So 42 plus your X. So I can add all of them together. So X plus my 42 plus X plus 90 is equal to 180. Again, I'm adding all of these angles together, since when I add them all together, it should equal to 180. So I have two X's, and I'm also have a 42 and a 90 that I'm going to be added together. So 42 plus 90 is going to give me 132. And all of that is equal to 180. So I'm going to subtract 132 from both sides. So now I have 2x and 180 minus 132, which is 48. And to get the x by itself, I'm going to divide by 2. So that 48 divided by 2 is going to give me 24. So I know that the smallest angle is 24 degrees. I know that the right angle has to be 90. So then the third angle, well, that third angle, don't forget, that was the one that was 42 plus x. So 42 plus 24 is going to give me 66. So 24, 90, and 66 are going to be all the measurements of the angles in this triangle. Now for number 5, it says solve for x, and then find the measure of each angle. So for here, you have to realize that a straight line, what is the degree of a straight line? Well, if you can think about it as a full half a circle, it's going to be from 0 to 180 degrees. That's the measurement that I have. So here you can say that these are supplementary angles. And supplementary angles are the ones that adds up to 180 degrees. So both of these added together should give me 180 degrees. So I have this 7x minus 1 plus this 2x plus 1, and it should equal to 180 degrees. So now when I combine my like terms, I'm going to group up my x's together. So 7 plus 2 is a 9x. Negative 1 plus 1 cancels out, so I have 180. So then here at this point, to get the x by itself, I divide by 9 on both sides. So I have 180 divided by 9, which is going to give me 20. So that only gives me my x value. So now what I want to do is plug it in. So if I'm looking at that angle, that's 7x minus 1, then 7 times x minus 1, the value of plugging 20 in, well, I would have 7 times 20 minus 1, which is 139 degrees. So this is really 139 degrees. Now, let's think about this angle over here. I have this 2x plus 1 degree. So now I'm going to plug in the x value there. The x value that we found was x is equal to 20. So now 2 times 20, which is 40, plus 1 is going to give you a total of 41 degrees. So this is equal to 41 degrees. So those are going to be my two answers, 139 and 41. For part B, I see that right triangle because it has that little square. So I know that these are going to add up to be 90. So this is complementary. So this adds up to 90 degrees. So I'm going to have my 10x plus 36 added to that second equation, which is 2 bracket x plus 15 bracket equal to 90 since it has that little square. So I'm going to have to distribute that distribute that 2 inside the brackets first. So I have 2x plus 30 is equal to my 90. Now, adding all of my x's together, 10x plus 2x, that's going to give me 12x. And I have 36 plus 30, which is going to give me 66, is equal to 90. So now subtract 66 from both sides. So that 12x is equal to 90 minus 66, which is 24. So if I divide by 12 on both sides, then 24 divided by 12 is going to give me 2. So this is the value of x. So now look at the angle. The angle is 10x plus 36. I have my other angle as 2 parentheses x plus 15. And I just found out that the x value is equal to 2 that I'm plugging in. So I have 10x plus 36, and the value of x I'm plugging in is 2. So 20 plus 36 is going to give me 56. So this whole side is equal to 56 degrees. Now on the opposite side, I have my 2x plus 30. And of course I'm plugging 2 in there. So I have 2 times 2, which is 4, plus my 30, which is going to give me 34 degrees. So this side is equal to 34 degrees. So if I add 56 plus 34, that's going to give me 90 degrees. We are also going to talk about the Pythagorean Theorem. This is whenever you have a right triangle. So remember, you have to make sure that one of the sides has a little square to indicate that it's 90 degrees. So make sure that it's a 90-degree triangle, so that way you know that leg squared plus leg squared is equal to your hypotenuse squared. For example, it says find the missing length of each side of the right triangle. And we know it's the right triangle because we have a square there. So I know that I have my leg squared plus my leg squared is equal to my hypotenuse squared. The hypotenuse will always be directly across from that little square. So now without delay, I can say that one of my legs, let's say, is 11. And the other leg is going to be 60. The only thing that really matters is which one is the hypotenuse, because that one you can't mix up. That's going to be my C. So now I have 11 squared, which is 121, plus my 60 squared, which is 3,600, is equal to C squared. So 121 plus 3,600, that's going to give me 3,721 is equal to my C squared. And to undo that square, since really, let me write it over here, you really have C squared is equal to 3,721. That's not the value of C because you have a degree of 2 there. So to undo that square, you would square root it. So then you can see that the square root and the square cancel. So you're left with C is equal to the square root of 3,721. And when I plug that into your calculator, you're going to get 61. So now I can tell you that the hypotenuse is equal to 61. Now for part 2, I can say that my hypotenuse is equal to 60. So that's going to be slightly different. So that means that this leg is missing. So let's just call this X, okay? So remember, I have my leg squared plus my leg squared is equal to my hypotenuse squared. So one of my legs is 36. Then it must mean that my other leg is X, since I don't know what that is. And my hypotenuse here is 60. So I have a 36 squared, which is 1,296, plus that X squared is equal to my 60 squared, which is 3,600. So now if I subtract the 1296 from both sides, so 3,600 minus 1,296, that's 2304. So to undo the square, I'm going to square root it. So I have that X is equal to the square root of 2304. So if I have the square root of 2,304, that's going to give me 48. So this x value is really 48. Okay, and that is the end. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me.